Imagine uploading a resume and having AI analyze everything, tell you who they are, what they're good at, and if they're a good fit, all in seconds. This is the kind of services that people actually pay platforms for, but we can build out our own script in Python absolutely free to do everything for us. Today, I'm going to break down and build out an interactive CV project with you guys using the tools like PyPDF and OpenAI to break everything down and analyze any type of resume that we give our Python script. By the end of this, you're going to have a real world Python project that you can put your own CV into or your friends and get a quick summary. But ours is going to be faster, smarter, and fully automated. Guys, I have videos coming out every single Thursday, so be sure to subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content and you want to follow along with your weekly dose of Python. Welcome to the channel.
All right, guys, jumping right into our project, you can see the structure I have here. Now, I have a Python file, I have an env file. This is where I'm going to hold my OpenAPI key. And then this is my CV I brought in. When you bring a CV into VS Code, right, it doesn't actually look like a CSV or a CV, PDF, excuse me. It's broken up into all this gibberish. So we are going to build out a software that can analyze and summarize our CV for us, where you could use this at your work, for yourself, really anywhere. Now, starting things off, I'm going to go through a bunch of different imports. We're going to import argparse. Now, this is going to be used to create CLI command line tools for us to run our scripts. We're going to import OS for our files. We're going to import system. From pathlib, we're going to import path. This is just a better way to work with folders and files. From typing, we'll probably do some type of type hintings here to make our code a little more readable. We're going to be working with lists and optional types of data. Then really the tools that we need for this to run is I need a library called PyPDF2. And we are going to need OpenAI. Now, for me, I already have an OpenAI key. If you do not have one, you need to get an OpenAPI or an OpenAI API key. Okay, this does cost a little bit, but you will use this a lot, especially as you start building more with AI. To fire up your terminal, you will need to install PyPDF2 and as well as OpenAI. Okay, so you can run this in your terminal to get both of those on your system. Very straightforward. Because we're using an environment file, all right, I'm going to say from .env, I am going to import load.env. This is a slightly more secure way. Well, it is the best secure way to store your environment variables, your API keys, to keep them private. So when you push it to GitHub, it's not being pushed out there. I'm going to use the function load.env. And all I'm going to put here is override is equal to true. This ensures that if any environment variables are already set, they're not going to be overwritten by values that I include in this folder. Okay, so this is a pretty clean setup. All of our imports here are ready to go. Now I'm going to build out really a main class to analyze the CV here. So we can call this, let's call this PDF reader, I suppose. That's decent. And inside our constructor, we are just going to put one thing that we need. What do we need to analyze the PDF? Well, I'm going to have to pass it in some type of API key if we're going to be working with this. Technically, I mean, in order for this to work, like, this is not optional, but this would theoretically be optional. Otherwise, the value is set to none. Now, if you don't have an API key, OpenAPI cannot summarize your data. All right, so we're going to be passing in here an API key. To work with this, let's just create that variable now, API key, and I'm going to say that's either equal to the API key we give this class, or we're going to go into our environment and we're going to get that. So I'm going to say get env, and I have a constant variable in there called OpenAI API key. Okay, so if you do not have an environment folder, that's fine. You can pass in the API key directly. Otherwise, it's going to search for that key in your environment folder. Okay, so we've pulled the API key. This is great. In order to work with OpenAI, we're going to let's create an object here. I'm going to say client, and I'm going to use the OpenAI class, and we are going to just give it the API key that we now have. So I have a client. I can work with OpenAI via this client or through this client. And I suppose I should throw a quick exception. If there is no API key, that is an issue. So we're probably just going to let's raise a value error here. And let's just say open AI key is required. Okay, so trying to catch errors before they happen. So when we initialize this class, we are just generating a client to work with OpenAI, passing in the key. That's all that's really happening here. Now we're going to build out a few methods. We need a method which is going to go through and extract our text. We are going to also have to chunk the text. This is where we basically just break up the text into smaller pieces. Because if you have a really long CV, OpenAI works better if we can piece it and give it chunks instead of one long string of data. And then we're going to have one to summarize the chunks for it. And we can have one to say summarize the entire PDF. Okay, so really, these are the four methods that our class is going to need to actually function, to actually work. To start off with our text extracting, let's create a method called extract text. And I'm just going to give this the path. So PDF path, we'll call this. And ultimately, this should output some type of string that is where our CV is currently held. Okay, so it's going to be in our path. We will try to create a file using this path. So let's say here, PDF path. Okay, I'm using path from pathlib. You could use OS here, right? Path is just a little bit cleaner at this stage. And we are going to say with open, we are going to try to open that file. And we are going to actually open this and read it in binary mode. So RB is our method, our pass-in argument for binary, because PDFs are binary files. Okay, so I'm going to say as file. And I suppose here, let's say F, because that's going to get confused. F is my file. When I open the PDF, we need to read it. So let's read our PDF by using our class import PyPDF, and they have a method. What is this method called? PDF reader? I think it's not popping up here. Oh, I have two equal signs. Maybe that's why. PDF reader, and I'm going to give it the file I want it to read. And let's create a starting point. Okay, so our text is going to start from an empty string. And then as we read the PDF, we're going to append the text we get to this string. For every page in our reader.pages, we are going to take our empty text and we are going to add the page and all the text we're extracting. To keep this clean, I guess, let's go on a new line for everything. And so after it gets to a new line, it jumps into our next. When this is done, we are just going to return the text back to us. Okay, so that's all that's happening here. Okay, I am loading my PDF. Well, I'm getting the path. I'm then opening my PDF, and we're going to create a reader object to analyze it. In this reader, I can then go through and extract the text of each line ultimately, and we're appending it to our Python string text variable. Okay, so this at all times is just a string object, and we're appending to that. Excellent. Except exception as E. All we can do here is let's just raise some kind of exception. Okay, and we're just going to say error with PDF. Donezo. Okay, so that's all this is doing. Okay, we are finding the path, we're opening the file as a binary file. That's what a PDF is. And we are going through and we are simply just extracting text. Now, the text, my CV is 1 page long. And most CVs should be 1 page. But if they're more than 1 page long, we want to break up that text because really GPT models or OpenAI, they have token limits per API call. So large documents don't always work well in a single API request. When we break the text into chunks, we can process it through multiple requests. So we are going to break it up here. Let's say chunk text, and we're going to give it some kind of text object. That's our string. We could give it a chunk size, and this will just be an integer. So how many characters in one go? For example, let's say 4,000. And this is going to return to us a list, or I want it to, of strings. If we have a really long CV, it'll be a list with each element represents one chunk block size of 4,000 characters. All these words now that we get back, I'm going to ultimately create a list of them. So text is going to be a bunch of strings. It's just going to be complete sentences here ultimately. So I'm going to create a list of these words. Let's just say text. Let's split the words apart. And then all of these will be held in a list of their own of chunks. The current chunk is going to be used to append onto. So I'm going to say your current chunk is also going to be a list. And so I can flag where I'm at. And we're going to have a current size. Okay, so I'm going to add 1 for each space between the words. This is like a counter. For every word in all of our words, right, I'm looping through this list now of words, and each word we're going to do something with it. I want to check if adding the word is going to exceed the chunk size. And we're going to add the length of the word plus 1 because there's a space between words, right? So for example, if I say hello, that's 4 characters, space. Chunk size or chunk should ultimately increase to 5 at that point. So let's just say here, if the current size, not chunk, size, plus the length of the word I'm on, plus 1 is greater than the chunk size and the current chunk, then we're going to take our list and we're going to append, and let's just here join together the current chunk. Now we've appended. I'm going to start a new chunk with the current word. And this word didn't fit in the previous one, so it's going to start in a new one. It exceeded the limit. Current chunk is just equal to the new word. And our current size is the length of the current word. Great. Else, we are going to take our current chunk and we are going to append the word. And we're going to say the current size is plus equal to the length of the word plus 1 to account for spaces. Okay, we're breaking up that text here. And then the last chunk, after the loop, we might have words in the current chunk that weren't actually saved. So I need to handle those. I'm just going to say if there's anything left, then we're just going to append that. Where am I? Chunks, append. And we're just going to append here the current chunk. Okay, so any stragglers that are left off, we just want to make sure that those are put on the end there. Okay, and this actually should not be in my for loop. There we go. Return my list of chunks. Okay, so we're returning that list here at the very end. Okay, excellent. If you guys have any questions, drop your questions. I will touch on those in the comments.
If you guys are enjoying this project, you're getting value from it, hit that like button and subscribe. That means the world. Thank you guys for being here. I love creating these types of projects for you guys where I can break it all down. The link's in the description. They're all dedicated to helping you grow in your Python career. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, head on down, check out the links in the description where you and I get to work together and learn Python, have some fun. My weekly newsletter, our Discord, my Python masterclass, everything is down below.
Now we want to use OpenAI to summarize all the chunks coming in. Okay, so I'm going to say summarize chunks, or I guess the chunk's going to be individual at a given time. The chunk coming in is going to be a string. I'm going to create some kind of parameter for max length. And let's just say at any given time, it'll be like 200 to get the best output. And this should output us a string. We're going to try to get a response. And this is here where we call our OpenAI client. Now, to work with OpenAI, we take our client and we just can use chat completions, and we're going to create one. This takes a bunch of things. You can see your model, string if we have it, all these things we need in here. Really, the most important part is going to be the model. I'm going to say here, GPT, I think we're going to use 3.5 Turbo. I don't want to use 4. This is cheaper. Like to make API calls through 3.5 Turbo, it's cheaper. And we're going to give it some messages here. Now, these messages are really the role of the AI, the content we're giving us, the output we want. Okay, so the role is currently OpenAI, the system. Okay. The content that we're going to give it here is going to be really whatever we want it to do. So let's just put here a string to summarize the following text I give it in a blank words or less. And I'm just going to focus on key points or ideas, right? That's the job of the system. Okay. Now with this system now that I have the content I'm telling it to do, the user message is going to contain the actual text we give it. This is the chunk that we need GPT to process. So I'm going to say here role. This is going to be user. And we're going to say here the content is going to be equal to the chunk that I give it. Excellent. That's kind of the message that I'm going to give to OpenAI. I'm going to set the max tokens to a certain number that I deem fit, and then we're going to give what we call a temperature. Now, this temperature here is kind of important. 0.3 is low, and I mean, this is relatively low. It's going to be more focused, and it's going to be more consistent in the summaries. If I gave this a higher temperature, it might be potentially less accurate. It's going to be more varied. And so I just want it to be more predictable in the case of what we're trying to build out here. Excellent. The final thing here I'm going to do is return, and I'm going to take my response. I'm going to say choices 0. I want the message content, and we're going to strip out the content from anything extra. Accept exception as E. Let's just return an F string here, and let's just say error. And let's just get the error back. So this is really the whole case of how we use OpenAI. Now, since OpenAI has done the job, I can kind of piece back the output that it's given me because it's going to give me an output now in these blocks. And now we want to have the actual part where we get back the data of what is this PDF. Okay, so we're going to have a PDF path, which is just a string. We're going to have our max length again. I think I set this to 200 before, so let's say 200. And then we're just going to have the chunk size of what we did 4,000 before. This will be kind of our final output. This is the product we want it to produce for us. Okay, so to showcase this, let's just like print off. I'm just going to say here, summarizing the text from, what did we say, PDF path. Let's create a text. I'm going to say self dot. I'm going to call the method we made, extract text. We made that as the first method. Okay, this is really the method we're going to be calling that's going to call the other ones here. and we are going to give this our PDF path. If there is no text, that is an issue, I suppose. You need to have something we get back, or this isn't really going to run. So let's just say no PDF found, ... go find one. Okay. Then we want to print off, let's just get the length real quick. Length of extracted text is going to be the length of text. If the length of the text we get back is less than or equal to the chunk size, then we're going to return a self, let's call the summarized chunk. We get a chunk back. I'm going to give it my text, and we're going to give it our max length, right? We're calling right here, we made a method called summarize chunk. We made a method called extract text. We're calling them within this main method here. Okay, any really long ones then, I'm going to call the chunk text method, because if the CV is too long, if it's too much, then we need to break it down a little bit, and we are going to get the summaries back, and we can store them in a list. So I'm going to loop through all my chunks, so I'll say chunk, in enumerate. We're going to go through our chunks, and we're going to start at 1. Let's just get a chunk max length, and this is going to be the max length floored to the length of the list chunks, just like that. Excellent. Okay, so at this stage, I now need to get a summary of the chunk again. Okay, I summarized the chunk. If this wasn't able to work, we're down at this point now. So again, I'm going to get a summary, and we're going to call our summarized chunk, giving it the single piece chunk and the max length that we're telling it can accept. And then we're going to just append it onto our list so we have everything in the right place. At the end of this loop, I want to join everything together into a clean overview, a clean summary. All we need to do now, I'm going to say combined output, I suppose, and I'm just going to join together my list into one readable format. So I'll be able to read this. If the length of my output is greater than the max length, then we need to also summarize again. It's too long. I'm trying to break this down into like a readable format where I could read a CV a lot faster. So combined output, our max length. Okay, this prevents anything that's too long from us. Cool, at the end of our function here, no matter what really, we're done. We've analyzed it. We are going to return combined output. This is the answer, right? This is after OpenAI has analyzed the CV. Okay, this is excellent. Now, we don't really have a tool here or anything. I've built out a class, but how do we use this class? We're using argparse. This is to create a command line interface tool. And this will allow us to create commands, call these commands through our terminal. So with our class done, I'm going to create main. And main is going to create us this tool for the CLI called parser. I'm going to say argparse.argument parser. And here's where I can just give a description. So like AI CV reader. Okay, I need a parser object to create commands. Now with parser, I can actually add the terminal commands I want to run. For example, if I start with L, maybe I can, like that's the short command. The long command would be max length. If I type max length into my terminal, I want it to tell me the maximum length. I want it to ensure the value is converted to an integer, and this keeps the maximum length in words. So this will be type of an integer. The default value is 200. And you could even give it help, right? Help tells you kind of how to work this. Max summary length in words. I'll just say 200. Okay, so that's one command we built. Parser, like this is how we make CLI commands. Let's do another one. Let's do like output. For example, if I want to save the file output, I'm going to create a command. Let's call it O. And the long form command could be like output. Okay. What do I want to do here? Really, if I run this command, I want to save it in like a text file. So we'll say like, whoops, help. And inside help here, I'm just going to be like output file path. Now I built out these two custom ones, but really the most important one we need is going to be given a path file, right? So I want to be able to give this my actual path. So here I'm just going to call this PDF path. And we're just going to say like this is the path to the PDF file. I've made one, this is mandatory, two optional CLI commands. I'm going to say args is equal to our parser.parse args. This converts the command line strings into a namespace object. Okay, so it's going to create these two here. And we're going to get our PDF file is equal to path args PDF path. If I run this command and there is no PDF file that doesn't exist, well, also you're running into an issue. Print no PDF, and we're just going to close down the application. So you kind of need to give it a PDF here. Now we can try to run this. Okay, so I'm going to try to call our class. So I'm going to read CV. We're going to call our class here, PDF reader, and we're going to give it our API key, which is really just our args.api key. And I'm going to create a summary from that and say summary is equal to read CV. I want to call the method we made, summarize PDF, args.pdf file, path, where am I here? Path, max length is args.max length, and our chunk size is equal to our args.chunk size. Awesome. So we're done. Okay, I'm going to now print off the summary. You have a working reader. If we want to save it to an output path, like if I tell it where to save it, I do want to have that ability, I suppose. So let's say like args.output. If we have that, I'm going to create an output file. This is going to be equal to path args, what did I call this? Output. With open, I'm going to give it my output file. We are going to write new content in there. We are going to give it UTF-8, so no matter what system you're on, you can work with that. Why did I do cap lock? Has a file. And from here, we're just going to do file.write our summary. Excellent. Let's throw a final exception and let's run this code, guys, as E. We are done, Python crew. If name is equal to main, we're going to call our main function. Excellent. Look at that. We are done. We built out a command line tool. We chunked up data. We used OpenAI. Okay, now the question really comes down to, Josh, I want to see this work. I completely agree. Let's open up your terminal here, okay? And really, all I need to type to get this to work is Python 3, the name of your Python file, the name of your CV or your resume PDF. This is the PDF I'm using. So I'm going to say cv.pdf. And let's just run it in the terminal first. Okay. We hit an error. Okay, so let me go check this. Main error, the following arguments are required. PDF path. That is okay. And going down here, oh, why did I get that error? PDF path. Oh, well, okay. I don't think I made enough parsing commands because what I'm doing is I'm using a parse command here for ABI key. I don't actually have that max length chunk. I have max length. I don't have chunk, and I don't have API key. So I believe that that is actually going to throw me a little error here. Let's create here, let's try this again. Parser, add argument. Inside here, we'll do C and we'll do chunk size. Type is equal to an integer. Default is equal to 4,000. And let's just say help. I'm just going to put here chunk size. Okay, then our parser.add argument. Let's do the last one here of like API key, and I'll throw a help open key. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to close this up, run that. There we go. Well, this isn't great. What did I do wrong this time? Oh, I just forgot hyphen. My bad. Okay, running clear. Can I clear this? Let me try that again. Python 3, main py, CV, PDF. Ah, look at that. Summarizing the text from CV, PDF. Look at this. This is a summary of my CV. Josh Winter, that's me, and it has exactly what I had in my CV. This is pretty cool, actually. Okay. Now let's try one more command here. Okay. Let's do like Python 3 main py CV PDF. I want to output. Now for this output to work, okay, I need to give it the name of the text file. So I'm going to be like summary.txt, enter. Again, we're summarizing the CV, and you can see that it generated me a text file. I mean, it's in one line. I should have probably put that in multiple lines, but you can see that it did actually generate that. Okay, so that is so very cool. Python 3, main py, CV, PDF, and you have generated your own CV reader with AI. So you can use this on yourself, right? If this extracts information, you should be able to like actually work with this, test out your CV and others.
And there you guys have it, an interactive project where we integrated OpenAI to create an AI-powered resume reader. How cool is that? Not only did we build out those tools, but we learned how to create command line interface tools where we can customize our own and run them directly in the terminal. If you guys got value in this video, hit that like button, drop a comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I love putting these together, and just thank you guys for being here. It's an absolute blast to have you guys in such an awesome community. Remember, all the links in the description, they're dedicated to just helping you grow and learn the way you learn, where I take my 8 years of teaching experience and I create content to help you grow. Python newsletter, my ebooks, my Python masterclass, everything is there for you guys. Head on down the links in the description, check them out. That's all for this week's episode. So until next week, guys, I'll see you in next week's episode of Code with Josh. Until then.